Transformers, more than meets the eye. Autobots wage their battle to destroy the evil forces of the...
Hello everybody, this is Toys R Us. For this special figure showcase, we're going to be looking at the 1987 Japanese exclusive figure, Shouki. What we're going to do with this video then, we're going to have a quick look at him in both of his modes to help you decide how you want to display him. We're going to have a look at all the accessories that come with him to help you know if yours is complete. I'm going to point out some things that you need to be aware of if you have to purchase one for yourself. And as I'm lucky enough to have a couple of different types of packaging, we can have a look at the amazing artwork, the lovely battle scene on the back, and I'll explain the difference between the two of them. If this is your first time watching myself on this channel, or you watch me already and you're not a subscriber, if you'd like to hit that subscribe button for me now, please, because it really will help me out. Okay, let's start off by looking at the robot, and I'm going to give you a bit of brief history and backstory about these particular figures. So as I've already mentioned, they came out in 1987 in Japan only. They were exclusives, and I suppose the best way that I can really describe it is in Japan, their continuity of the Generation 1 figures, they completely disregarded the movie like it never happened. Prime example of that is the fact that Wheeljack and Perceptor are in Victory cartoon, which was even later than this, but they also pretty much disregarded the whole Headmasters as well by Sunbow. And they basically, in 1987, they started their own cartoon, funnily enough called Headmasters, and the Train Bots were in that. Now, the Train Bots were originally released in Japan as part of Train Robo, but of course when Takara brought all the rights, they owned them and they managed to get these figures into the continuity of Generation 1 toys. So, as I say, that's why you probably haven't seen them. They were only available in Japan and only available in that cartoon. The robot itself, though, is super basic. You can see we've got, I'm not even going to say it's articulation. The arms swing out. There's nothing going on with the waist. You can twist the legs because sometimes, to be honest, you may see him posed or displayed like that. But the most common thing you'll see him is displayed with his legs out. Things you need to be aware of with him in robot mode, apart from the obvious sun fade, which you'll see on a lot of them, is the back, which we'll see more detail in the alternate mode. Some of it's made out of metal and again can get corrosive, and of course this here, corroded, not corrosive, of course. Right, let's pop him back. These guys fascinate me, to be honest. I think they're absolutely stunning. You've got a brilliant little robot there, and I say little, he's about the same height, a bit smaller than Swindle, and they're all made out of these just long thin trains. This one is his alternate mode, and again, forgive me if I get this wrong, it's a Type 0 Shinkansen bullet train. And again, look at it, it's just nice, long, tiny, really thin, and that's all there is to it. As I say, there's the wheels on the underside. You can see there's a bit of corrosion going on there, unfortunately, already. And then this, as I say, is pretty much missing on most of them. This very carefully folds down, and it ends up being the chest on the robot. But there is the alternate mode, and again, it's really obvious that you need to be aware of sun fade. What I'm going to point out to you now is the fact that this one has a rub sign, and this is going to segue nicely into the box on the left hand side. So the box on the left hand side is the first release of this figure. So this was 1987. For people who know Japanese figures, they will know that the C stood for Cybertron and the 125 was just his reference number. And we can have a quick look there at the brilliant artwork of Shouki. That's the transformation process there on the top. I hope you forgive me for not doing it on this video. I want to keep the length of the video down. I will do a separate video with the transformation, but I want to go nice and slow, taking my time to do it. On the back, we've got the Headmaster main artwork scene from 1987. Of course, there's the leader of the Autobot, Headmaster's Fort Max, and Scorponok is just coming in at the bottom there. The robot points are on the back of the box still at this point, and of course there's the tech spec. So this was the first release. This was the 1987 release, and then 3 years later, because again in Japan they still had a continuity of cartoons and figures and toys. So 87 was Headmasters, 88 was Super God Master Force, 89 was Victory, and in 1990 they had Zone, and this is the Zone version. It's pretty much exactly the same apart from a missing rub sign. I will show you that in a second. They did change the artwork slightly there, and they did change his reference number as well. But the toy itself, apart from a missing rub sign, is identical. We've got a lovely picture of Raiden on the side there, but again, they've changed his number, and they've got rid of, I suppose, the battle scene, and we've actually got product images of the train bots there. And there is Raiden in the back, and there's a brilliant picture again, but we'll have a look at him in actual person in a second. There. What I referred to earlier about the robot points, you can see by the time they get to 1990, they are, and it's a brilliant idea, putting them on the inside of the flaps of the boxes to save you from cutting anything out of the box. So yes, so this came out in 1990, and I suppose the best way I can reference this or make it similar is, of course, to the European versions that came out with the gold boxes. And a lot of them had the rub signs missing as well. And of course, they came out in 1990, so they were just released a bit later. So here, as you can see, the robot. This is pretty much unused contents, but it must have got mixed up somewhere, because there is the missing fold out chest part we said there. And of course, there is the missing indentation for the rub sign as well. I'm just going to carefully pop that back in. So the rest of the contents for the box would be, this is his gun. Nice tiny little gun, and this would go right in there. It would just literally fit in that hole down there, but of course I'm going to pop it back here. Now the rest of the parts I'm going to show you are all to do with combining, and we'll have a quick look at Raiden himself. So we've got what this part comes down to be the front underneath. There is, on all of the train bots, there are these three little connector pieces. One's still on the sprue, and as you saw on the picture of the back of this box, it's to connect the trains together. The last piece I need to show you that comes out for this box, before we look at the instructions and stuff, is the other part that attaches to the chest, like so. As I mentioned, it is pretty much unused contents. They must have just got mixed up. There's this sticker sheet. And what I want to show you as well is the instructions, because what they tend to do with any combiners that I've noticed in Japan is they have a generic instruction sheet. So this is huge. It's got all of the numbers there for all of the train bots. It's got all their individual transformations and the combination of combining them up to Raiden as well. And again, whether this is a cost-cutting exercise, I'm not sure, but that's what they did have, all of them. So rather than just having them individual instructions, they just had a big generic one. So let's have a quick look where Shouki is on Raiden. He is smack bang in the middle. And if I very carefully take this front piece off there, and I probably shouldn't have done that, but this whole front piece here, you can make out now. I'll reconnect that, don't worry, in a second. You can see there is Shouki, there is Shouki, and indeed, this whole front piece here that is folded out is the back piece of this. So what's on the back of his body there is this. It's the front end of the train. You'd slide the front end of the train off. You'd open it out. There is the dowel that holds onto the front of this. And also when it's in robot mode is the dowel that attaches to the back of the robot. So, as I say, Shouki makes up right in the very center of Raiden. And let's reattach all this together then. Yeah, it's the same. It's all, that's it. This is just going to fit in. There we go. Nice and careful at the front. So yes, Shouki is the main part. This guy, although he looks nothing like him, he reminds me of Devastator. And what I mean by that is he's made up of 6 individual robots, and they can only go in one particular place. So there's no Scramble City effect going on at all with this particular guy. Right, let's just reattach that, pop it back in there, and we're going to reattach all of these here. So there he is. As I say, that is Shouki. Oh, there he goes. I always have somebody falling over. Again, he was a Japanese exclusive. There is another version of him, which I don't have, but I've got a picture that I will show you. There is a gift set of them all together, and that looks exactly like that. So that was C131. Now, there was only the gift set of the original boxes. So when they re-released them, they only re-released them individually. Anyway, that is Shouki. I hope you enjoyed looking at him. I know that some people haven't seen him and don't know much about him at all, hence why I did the video. I know that some people did know who he was, but just wasn't too sure. So I hope it managed to explain some things for you without going into too much detail. But there he is, 1987 Japanese exclusive train robot Shouki. Take care, guys. Thanks for watching. Like and comment, and don't forget to subscribe.